Hello and welcome to an Xpoints top 8 match. But before we get into the video, please do let me know what you think of these, because I'm relatively new to making gameplay videos. I usually just make deck techs, and I really think your feedback and comments really help me to improve the videos. So thank you for that. Now, Xpoints is an awesome old school format where the powerful cards are restricted by a point limit. You have 10 points for deck construction, and once you've reached 10 points, you cannot play any more cards from this list. It's super fun. So this is my list. It's a PONZA zoo build, meaning it has lots of very efficient creatures backed up by land destruction. The land destruction really helps to put our opponent off balance, and it's super useful against control decks. If you'd like to see a deck tech about this deck, please do check it out on my channel. It will look exactly like this. And my opponent is playing Lion DIB Bolt, a super iconic old school deck that's also very good in Xpoints. It's full of the most efficient creatures and burn spells, and it's just a really strong and powerful deck. Unfortunately, with this deck being so efficient and not really needing too much mana, my land destruction spells will be completely dead and useless in this matchup, apart from maybe hitting one of those 4 factories. So going into game 1, our opponent is on the play and starts off with a Savannah Lions. This is a very strong start, and this is also what my deck is looking to do. But fortunately, I have one of the few cards that is actually better than a Lions, a Curd Ape. Unfortunately though, it instantly dies, as the Lion DIB Bolt deck, it really is absolutely full of removal, and I'm going to be playing the defense in this game, as he just has so many efficient threats and ways to kill my stuff that it's really just going to put me on the back foot until I can slowly build up my mana base and attempt to win the game with some of my bigger threats. So far it's going okay, as there was no turn 3 DIB here, and land destruction on the manland it's not amazing, but it's definitely still useful. Unfortunately, it's just a matter of time, and yeah, it's actually right now where my creature gets killed and he can beat in for more damage. So ideally, I just want to survive until I get to 5 mana and then just start dropping Serra Angels. Or I suppose actually 4, I have Urnum Djinn. That would be amazing. Unfortunately, the land destruction cards here, they're the absolute worst cards I can draw in this matchup, really. And yeah, another Lion. It's really just putting me so far behind here. So yeah, there's another Stone Rain. It's taken him off white, which is nice. But this deck, it's really so land light, and there he has another white source, so he can really cast almost every card in his deck from just the lands he has. And here I just haven't drawn any creatures. I believe the last card in my hand is a Serra Angel, which unfortunately I didn't draw a land. I feel if I'd drawn a land, maybe I could have gotten back into it. I would have been on a slightly higher life total with a big creature, but yeah, it's really not looking good here, and so I just concede. I'm so far behind. So going into game 2, I need to bring in more removal. I actually have a lot of dead cards in this matchup, so I bring in Disenchant pretty much just for factories. And you never know, maybe he has Blood Moon or something. It's definitely better than a Stone Rain most of the time, I think, especially against such a land-light, efficient deck as my opponent's. And as I mentioned, I just took out all of the land destruction. It's really not useful in this matchup, so yeah, I'm instantly taking those out. So going into game 2, I'm on the play, and I have an awesome start with a turn 1 Library. Now, Library is actually not that great in this matchup, because my opponent has so much burn that really taking damage to draw extra cards is very risky. However, I think on turn 1, Library is still very strong. So I believe I take 1 extra card here. Oh, no, I don't. And yeah, I just start off by strip mining. And, as soon as the opponent thinks about it, I just know straight away, okay, he has Ancestral Recall. You definitely wouldn't think about it otherwise. We do have a little bit of lag here, but hopefully the video is still watchable. My internet connection is troublesome at the best of times, so yeah, thank you for bearing with me. And I take an extra card here. The reason why, I believe that the lands I have in hand don't fully add up with what I want to play. So yeah, I think I just did that so I could draw a white source and play a Lions. And yeah, Orb here. So I am actually off to a very, very good start here. And maybe it's even worth saying I perhaps should have taken some more damage to take some more cards. I just really don't want to against the Lion DIB Bolt deck because it just has so much burn. And yeah, Connection going a bit bad here. So Ape, again, another good card. Very good against his deck. Trades favorably with almost all of his creatures. So I believe this was an upkeep Blue Blast and an upkeep Destroy on the library. So I think he's thinking about which one to do here. You'll see why in a second. So yeah, there we go. Library's gone. And you notice that opponent's only on 2 lands actually, so you already see why he was considering going for the Lions. He's just very, very far behind. But yeah, there's that Ancestral Recall. And let's see. Yeah, an opponent has to discard. So at this point, I'm very, very happy because, you know, opponent is just so far behind on lands and didn't draw any lands. So I just feel like I'm very far ahead. However, that does mean that the opponent's hand is full of absolute gas. So drawing this land here, it means he can play almost every card in his deck. And, well, we know he has 7 cards that are playable. So, yeah, it's not looking good now against my 2 cards because, you know, his deck's just absolutely full of removal. He definitely has ways to kill all of my stuff here. And, yep, you see a plow on the Angel there. That's also a possible reason why I should have considered taking an extra card from the library. The fact he doesn't bolt my Lion here, I was very surprised. That's a very good sign for me. However, you know, now again he's just drawing into just more land so he can just start dumping his hand. This is a point in the game where perhaps I should have bolted both of those things and attacked for 2. I thought maybe he would get greedy. You know, here I'm saying something like, oh, I need to attack anyway because it's going to die, which is true. I'm not sure if maybe my opponent will get greedy. He doesn't, unfortunately. So maybe I should have just bolted those creatures and attacked for 2. You can see I'm also really starting to flood out here. This is a lot more lands than my deck would ever want to draw. And the absolute all-star in this matchup is Urnham Djinn. If I can get Urnham Djinn, it's extremely hard for him to deal with. He only has Plow that can like 1-for-1 with it. So now I decide to double bolt the 2 Javelin guys. And even though they're not as good as that Pump Knight, the reason why I have to do that is because they just turn off a lot of good cards in my deck, such as Preacher. So Preacher's awesome if it can survive, but against Lion DIB Bolt, yeah, it's just not going to survive. I mean, the deck has Bolt in its name, it's obviously full of removal. And there's a DIB. So this is going to be extremely difficult for me to deal with, especially as I'm just drawing off the top. But opponents on quite a low life total with a DIB, I still feel like I could draw an Urnham or, you know, like chain a bunch of Serras or Shivan Dragon or something. And I can still take this one, especially as I've got a Plow here. So I think about it for a bit, eventually take the DIB. It was worth considering. Maybe, you know, he's going to take damage from his own DIB. Maybe I can somehow top deck a creature and try and steal it. You know, just steal the win, but yeah, unfortunately not. Just decide it's much safer to take out the DIB. Maybe I shouldn't have done that because that now unlocks the second DIB. Although at this point I'm just super far behind. And there we go, flip on the DIB. Usually I don't like flipping the actual orb itself because it's expensive, especially, well, I suppose Unlimited is the cheapest one, but yeah, usually I don't like to flip that, so this is one of the rare times you'll see me actually flip the orb instead of flipping like a Curd Ape onto a Curd Ape or something. So clearly I'm just super dead here. Yeah, I am just dead. And so GG's to Lion Dib Bolt. He actually went on to win the whole monthly, so congrats to him. Thank you for watching. See you next time.